Flourish with Freedom is asking, hello ma'am, happy new year. Ma'am, what to do when feeling very low due to hormonal imbalance? And just before periods start, it feels like being sad and anxiety. You know what? I like to honor my emotions, to be very honest, and I kind of take the day off. I like to relax. I tell everybody, look, I'm PMSing. Please do not trouble me today. Otherwise, I'll cry and you won't know what you did, but I will make you the reason for me to cry. So I just feel like I want to honor whatever I'm going through. The body is having a reaction to the hormones, and I try to be very mindful, especially 2-3 days before the period, so that I don't land up, leaking on someone who doesn't deserve this emotional drama that comes out of me. Okay, so see if you can also do the same. There are many things you can do to cheer yourself up. These days you get these lovely teas which are mood enhancers. You can use aromatherapy to enhance your mood. You can go for a drive. Make a list of all the things that cheer you up, that put you in a better place in your those 2-3 days. So see if you can come up with some routines and some rituals that can totally help you. Okay, it needs management. I don't know if we can get rid of that emotion. Okay? Priya, ma'am, how to get the guts to be on live on Insta as a life coach like you? Priya, you just have to start from somewhere, darling. So when I started about, 4-5 years ago, I think the first few Insta lives, my legs were shaking and I was just hoping and praying that people ask questions that I know the answer to, that people show up, that people ask questions. All of that was doubtful, right? And then over time, you get so practiced that now, like I say, sometimes I can do it in my sleep. So anything in the beginning, if you're feeling scared to do, it's only because you don't know it enough. Over time, you will get comfortable. Think of anything in your past that you now do comfortably. You will remember a day when it was hard. So, start where you are at and keep getting better from there. Afo, I'm extremely grateful to have you. That's so sweet. 1 second. Let me have some water. Okay. How to stay away from negative energy? Protect yourself. So all you need to do is, even if you're surrounded by negative energy, you can say a mantra, you can cover yourself up with white light, you can do things that can help you protect yourself. A kala dhaga, black thread, nazar ka, kajal. So there are many ways that you can protect yourself from negative energy. I'd love for you to find a totka which is there in your religion which can help you. Any of these things, it's, negative energy is not fatal, but it just pulls you down. So you just want to do that small little thing, any one thing. I just like to put white light around me. So I'll close my eyes. I'll imagine a fountain of water protecting me from all negative energy, no negative energy being able to penetrate. And then I just go and be with anybody or anything that has negative energy. I even like to imagine that if black smoke is coming out of someone or out of some situation, that it's not being able to touch me and it's only getting sucked into the air pipes of some kind of a vacuum. So all black smoke can't touch me. So I'll just create in my own imagination anything that I feel can protect me. Okay? Happy New Year, everyone. Really will meet you and want to be a life coach. Beautiful. I'd love to meet you also. For those of you who haven't yet bought your tickets for Changemakers, highly recommended. Please meet me on 8th of February in Geo Convention Center, Mumbai. From whole day, we will all be there. It'll be a fabulous day together. Some fabulous names are coming, including my own personal mentor, Jack Canfield from America. Can't wait to meet him. Can't wait for you all to meet him. Gayatri Gayu. How to get rid of health anxiety even for small symptoms? I think something bigger has happened. You know what? Anytime we try too hard to control our mind starts to go even more bonkers. So what I'd love for you to do is that anytime you have some health symptom, I want you to make a meaning out of a situation. For example, I want you to start to say, if I think through all the different diseases, then I can never get them. So I will process it in my mind so that my body doesn't absorb it. And you can literally then allow your mind to play havoc. Like one of the things I do is that anytime I have a bad dream, if I have seen it in my dream, I will never see it in reality. That's the connection I've made. So my dreams do not create any fear in me, because I would rather see it in my dream than see it in my reality. And if God needs me to go through some emotion, please send it to me in my dream. Do not put it in my reality. The same thing I want you to do with all of your anxieties around health, and I want you to create a new story, a new meaning, so that even if your mind wants to go crazy, instead of trying to control it, you put it in the framework of that if I see it in my mind, I will never get it, because I would have processed it in the thought level itself. Tulsi, are you doing any life coaching sessions? Tulsi, every day, every way, every week. So sweetheart, just be in touch with my team and they will be able to guide you on what you could come in and listen to if you're interested in becoming a life coach especially. Beyond Skies is asking, ma'am, could you please bring up a kind of a scholarship thing for a few of us on some basis? That's a beautiful idea, Beyond Skies. I will definitely discuss it with Suren and Success Gyan on if there is some sort of scholarship that we can create for some special people. Okay, so thank you for bringing that up. I think that's a great thought for 2025. I've been trying to figure out what all charity I can do. Now I'm also going to bring in scholarships, so it'll be charity plus scholarships, not just charity. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Dr. Carrie Tooth Fairy is asking how to plan schedule for a day, a week effortlessly, especially when you're managing 4 to 5 projects. So Carrie Tooth Fairy, I normally like to divide my day into 3 parts, which I find very easy to do. The morning is all preparation, the middle of the day is all delivery, and the end of the day is rest. So I wake up pretty early. These days it's been actually 5:30, not 4:30, which is my usual time. So 5:30 to 8, I normally do my prep. 8:30 to 10, I get ready. 10 to almost 6 sometimes in the evening, I go and do deliveries of all the kinds that I need to. And then 6 onwards, it's all rest. Now I do the same thing even in the week. So my Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday are rest days. And Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays are my delivery days. And in the rest days, the weekdays, so Friday and Monday, I turn into prep days. So Saturday, Sunday become weekends unless I'm working. There are one weekend every month that I do work. So, but normally Saturday, Sundays are my rest days. Friday and Monday are my prep days, and Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday are my delivery days. The days. So how do I know my difference between my prep day and my delivery days? Prep day, I will have one juda and I'll be sitting in my kaftan and doing the work. And on delivery days, I will have makeup on. So if I put on makeup, that means it's a delivery day. So I love managing my days and my weeks like that. Even in my months, I do a lot of this because I have heavy work days and then I have travel days. And my travel days are like my holidays. I travel quite a bit. So for me, the work is also very heavy. The travel is also very heavy. And it's a constant juggle on managing both. Both are in extreme. So when people look at my travel, they know it's not in balance. When people see me working, they know it's not in balance. So I'm not even trying to balance them. So I want to do a lot of work in my life and I want to travel a lot in my life. So these are my 2 biggest passions that I want to outdo everybody else. When I say outdo everybody else, it's not a competition by anyone else, but I just really am passionate about doing these 2 very, very seriously. Purva, see you in the Change Makers, waiting for the orientation that is starting from tomorrow. See you there, my Jan. Beyond Skies already finished asking. Thank you, ma'am. We'll admire you. We all admire you a lot. That's so sweet. Ooh, look at who's in the house. Manisha Chopra. Manisha Chopra, I love you so much, sweetheart. God bless you. For those of you who don't know, Manisha Chopra is my sister-in-law in Gurgaon who also takes makeup sessions. She builds confidence in women. So if you haven't started following her, I highly, highly recommend. Please follow her. She is mind-blowing amazing. Sanjana 26. Good evening, ma'am. Do you remember me? Sanjali. ऐसे एकदम सडनली पूछेगी तो बहुत मुश्किल होगा संजली, but I just want you to know कि even if I don't remember you, but if you have studied under me, then just know you are already sitting in my heart. I may not know your name. ठीक है? Calligraphy Ventures, how to focus and get back to a career as a new mom. Loads and loads of love to you. Ooh, that's a hard one, isn't it? I don't know how small your baby is, but you know what? It's always so hard to leave a little one at home and to focus on your career. My suggestion would be try your level best to give as much time to your baby as you can. This is the time your baby needs. Career focus se zyada, my suggestion would be when you are working, work. When you are with your baby, be with your baby. Try to be present where you are, because what can happen a lot of time to new moms is no matter where they are, they're always guilty. And more than the work, the guilt eats us up. So I'd love for you to learn to handle your guilt and see whatever you are able to do at work, you do. What I mean to say is that you need to be very sweet or kind to yourself. Sometimes we are too harsh on ourselves as a mother, as a working woman. I feel like, you know what? To the extent, one day at a time, to the extent that you can, you're giving it your best. And just remember, some days your best is a 40%. Some days your best is a 20%. So on days when you give your 20% and all you had inside of you is a 20%, you've actually given your 100%. When you start to look at life like that, one, you'll reduce guilt, and secondly, you will land up realizing that, you know what, nothing is over and beyond your own mental state, mental health, mental stability. ठीक है? The bookworm is asking, can we change the outcome of a particular situation even if our birth chart says otherwise? You absolutely can. And the reason I say this is because even our scriptures say that through a havan, through wearing a crystal, through changing the shape and size of our house or changing the direction of our house, by keeping some positive things in feng shui, by doing some pranic healing, reiki, by doing some akashic records, by doing some healing modules, we can change a lot of what was going to happen to us. So I want you to imagine your life like you're the hardware and there is a software uploaded onto you at time of birth, that if you live your life in a certain energy, this is the destiny that will play out. But as you start to make your personal choices, your choices can reduce your destiny or increase your destiny depending on the choices you make. Just the way you can buy an Apple computer and then upload your own software because you want it to be better or you want to use different set of apps. The same way God gave us one destiny, that this will be your destiny, which is the one that the Panditjis normally tend to predict, that this is your destiny if nothing changes. But can I tell you, the minute you hear a prediction, the hearing of the prediction will now change your destiny because you can do something about it. Guess who has the power to change the prediction the most? More than crystal, more than feng shui, more than vastu, more than anything. Who has the power? You. And when you own your power, for me, so I just wait for astrologers to make predictions on me and for me to prove them wrong. I love doing that. So it's not that I don't believe in the science. I completely believe in the science, but I believe in myself a little more than the science. So I'm going to give you the same strength to do so. So I never want you to think or believe that someone outside of you has a better control over knowing your destiny or knowing your future than you. You are the decision maker, the director, the captain of your ship. The person who gets to decide your life is you. Deepti, ma'am, how to control anger, especially when I'm with my toddler who triggers me with tantrums? Deepti, it's not your toddler that's triggering you. It is all of the anger that is sitting inside that is coming out when the toddler is around, because on him you can afford to take it out because he can't do anything, he's helpless. You also have anger when you are with your boss, but guess what? You're wise enough to know that here I can't show it. You also have anger when your mother-in-law does something, but you know that there in the hierarchy of things, you can't show it. So where is it coming out? When you squeeze a lemon, lemon will come out. When you squeeze a mango, mango will come out. When you squeeze a lychee, lychee will come out. If you squeeze a sweet person, sweetness will come out. If you squeeze an angry person, anger will come out. So I don't want you to think that your child is creating this in you. I want you to start to take responsibility of your emotional mess. That a 3-year-old can make you react is something we need to work on. So if you haven't yet joined any of my programs, I highly recommend it. I absolutely love helping mothers become coaches. First for your own children and the mother who you'll become for the rest of your life. Your children will thank you for doing my coaching program. And if over and beyond you want to also help the world with the coaching, why not? Amrida Priya Darshini. Pooja, how to have clarity on which career to choose? I sometimes want to go abroad. Sometimes I feel I want to stay in my present job. I am so confused. Priya Darshini, this is because you think that there is one career path which is the right path for you. I want you to imagine your career like a mountain. Okay? And I want you to imagine that you can take this path also, this path also, this path also, and this path also. So all 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 paths lead to your success point. This is your success point, okay? So this being your success point, you have a mountain to climb. Now somewhere halfway through, when I was a teacher, I decided I'll become a life coach. I became a life coach. Then I decided I wanted to become an online trainer. Then from an online trainer, I decided I will still reach my point of success. So whatever decision you make, it's not in the decision that lies the righteousness of the decision. It is what you do with that decision. If you go abroad and you work really hard and you make a success of yourself, everybody will say, what a fabulous thing to do. If you go abroad and you start to miss home and you feel like, oh my God, I don't know if this was the wisest decision. I wish I had stayed in my job, then that will turn out to be a wrong decision. So it's never in the choosing of the decision, but what you do with it that decides what is the right thing to do. So now clarity wise, I would love for you to, I will literally make people do chit picking if they can't make up their mind. So the most important part is not what decision to take, but to take a decision. If you decide to be in your present job, give it your 100%. If you decide to go abroad, give it your 100%. The most important thing to do is to give life 100%. You give life 100% at anything, life will return to you the 100% of the success that you then require from life itself. Okay? So I'm not saying that there are not paths which can be wrong. Yes, if you do not feel any joy on a particular path, according to me, that's the wrong path. Today, I decide to go and work in NASA when I have no sense of rockets or science or maths. Then that automatically becomes the wrong path for me because I do not have the competency to handle something like that, correct? So look at your talent structure, look at your competency, look at things that give you joy. When you marry all of these are all entry gates for the right decisions to be made. Okay? Khushbu Rani Patel, ma'am, I helped someone with purpose, finding meditation, but now feel guilty as she's decided to abort the baby. Aww. Khushbu, what someone chooses to do and what is the right answer for them is not in our hands. I have women that come to me who've been having years of abuse, and because of the conversation we land up having, they decide to get divorced, they decide to leave their man, they decide to leave their house. It can happen, right? Now, I am not responsible for that decision. I just think we had a conversation in which the person realized something. So now in through that meditation, you've made the lady realize something. Maybe she's realized she's yet not ready for a child, or she's not yet ready for this child. And instead of feeling guilty, I want you to actually thank the universe that whatever decision she takes, may that be the best decision for her. Okay, so you don't have to have any guilt towards that. It's not you aborting the baby. A lot of time my clients will come to me and after having a conversation with me, decide to do something that society may or may not think to be right. But for her, maybe at that point, that is her only solution. And if that is her only solution, then if she's come up with that plan and she's willing to face the consequences of her choices, then who are we to stop any adult from making any decision that is not criminal by law? Okay? The only time I will intervene or interrupt is if somebody decides to make a decision, like because of me, they decided to poison their husband or something like that. Now that would be something that I would have to interfere with, right? So if it is not criminal by law, if it is a question of moral compass, now my moral compass can be extremely different from my client's moral compass. These are their choices to make as adults, because everybody who's coming to us, mostly those of you who are catering to adults, are adults, and we have to learn to respect adults, isn't it? Healy Fest. I am working and my mother-in-law is moody. Sometimes she's doing all the household chores. Sometimes even for a week she is so moody, she's not even talking. It's so difficult for me to go with her happily. So one of the things we have to understand is that a lot of mother-in-laws hit a point where they themselves are going through what we call menopause. Okay, so if your mother-in-law is in the range of 50 to 60, for all you know, she might just be going through her menopause, and her menopause may be making her feel all of this. Just the way you have 1 or 2 days of PMSing, menopause is like having PMS for 2 years. Okay, so we have to become a lot more understanding. My suggestion is just change your expectations. Appreciate and thank her when she is extremely good to you as far as the household is concerned, and do what you need to the level that you can when she doesn't participate. Rather than waiting for her to always be in a good mood, just start to think of her as a bumper bonus. Okay, I always say treat your mother-in-law like a lottery. So days when she's good, enjoy the good. The days she's not, deal with it. Because you know what? This is a bumper bonus relationship. Your main relationship is with your man. Make sure that is the relationship you're spending a lot of time investing and doing what you need to, rather than focusing so much on his mother. Because the more you'll focus on his mother, the more upset he will get, because he will think that his mother should behave differently, and he himself can't change his mother. Where is he going to change his mother for you? Then at some point he will start to feel responsible towards you in regard to that. And it can all become one khichdi, okay? So see if you can invest in your spouse and treat the in-laws like a bonus. Nikita Jain, how to manage rotary politics? As I was the past president, I can't leave immediately, but I feel like I am pleasing people to be there. Give me some advice. Nikita, in all of these organizations, there is a ladder that climbs up. And then the past president is literally the last post you hold on the committee before you are out of the committee, okay? It's more like a honors post. So most of the past president's job is just to be there to supervise and guide the current president. It's not so much to be super active. So I'd like for you to take a step back. If you're feeling like normally the past president and the current president will not get along, that's a normal situation. If you get along, good for you, but normally you won't get along. Why? Because everything that you've done, they have been watching you and seeing how they can do everything differently. So that you should have gotten appreciation on, they were sitting with critical eyes with, right? And so therefore, while you were doing it, while you were the incoming president, you will remember that your past president was doing things that you may have wanted to do differently, correct? So there is always politics in these small groups. One, accept it. Secondly, be okay with your people being faithful to you and their people being faithful to them. And thirdly, once you turn past, no, just retreat. Let the flow of the organization go with the newer people, rather than trying too hard to hold on to whatever it is. So stop pleasing people, stop trying too hard. Your year of celebration is over. Now it is her year, let her enjoy. Oh, so nice. So Manisha at MMI. That's lovely. Nutrition Sangeeta saying, how to ask anything in need without hesitation to our friends and family. Sangeeta, one of the things I love doing is believing that those who help me, in helping me, are also receiving gratitude from me. And every time I will get help by someone, I will also make sure that if somebody asks me for something, I'll also go out of my way to help them. So these two things actually really help me become very comfortable in asking without hesitation. So what are those two things? One is that, okay, you will give me whatever you will give me. What I will give you in return is also very valuable, which is gratitude. So I want you to think of something that you recently did for someone. And in return, they couldn't do much for you, but they gave you a lot of gratitude. They gave you a lot of thankfulness. How many of you know that actually the person who receives gratitude is one of the happiest people on the planet? That the more gratitude we can collect from people, it makes us feel so wonderful. We don't want anything more to the people that we are giving to. We just want them to be grateful. Sometimes even that expectation doesn't get met, and that's a different story. But if people are just grateful, I feel like that in itself is such a wonderful thing that we can give, right? We think, oh, if I'm taking something from someone, I must equally match to them what I will give back. It's not a barter. It is a kindness. Kindness does not need to be matched with the same person from whom you are receiving the kindness. Kindness is a paid forward designed product, which means you be kind to me because you have the power to be kind to me. I will be kind to someone else, and that person will be kind to someone else, and it's called the paid forward strategy. Okay, so from today onwards, whenever you're asking someone for something, in your heart believe that I am asking, one, I will give gratitude in return. Secondly, I'm not putting a gun to their head. If they want to, they can. If they choose not to, that's also fine. You've already accepted that before you even asked. And thirdly, you will make sure that no matter how much you receive, as you travel the ladder of success, you too will keep on paying it forward. Okay? Sana is asking, pregnant at 35 after 13 years of waiting. Sometimes I don't know how I will manage. Also wanted to start something in coaching, but now I don't know how to raise my child on my values in a joint family. So Sana, firstly, massive congratulations, sweetheart. God bless you, protect you. May divine light be always surrounding you, and may this baby come with beautiful destiny. Having said that, don't worry at all, darling. When God has prepared you for being pregnant, He will prepare you for the baby too. The beauty, the way the God has structured a mother is that He automatically puts the correct hormones a mother needs for her to become completely selfless, especially for the first 2 years of having the baby. So no matter how much you're doubting yourself, my gut feeling is you're going to be absolutely phenomenal, Meri Jans. Okay? As far as considering coaching is concerned, I highly recommend pregnant women to become coaches, because I feel like this is a period of beautiful learning, and the more you learn, the more it goes even into your baby. So if there's any sort of courses or classes you'd like to do with me or someone else, I totally and absolutely recommend it, because I feel like it will keep you in a very positive state in a world which has become very negative. As far as how to raise my child on my value system in a joint family, have the faith that your child is going to grow up to be amazing. Okay? I feel like there are two sorts of parents in the world. One who operate from a feeling of fear, and one who operate from the feeling of love. Now, I raised both my children in a joint family, and I feel like so many people's input and so many people that the children had to cope with in relationship from a very young age made my children extremely smart with relationships. So I would love for you to have this faith that your children are going to come out supremely awesome. Okay? Just make sure that instead of poisoning them, you actually fill them up with love. So all the time, see if you can bring in the goodness of human beings, if you can highlight the goodness of the people around, they will see life through your eyes. Keep your eyes clean. Okay? Having said that, if you feel in your joint family there is someone you need to protect your children from, Please, as a mother, it's always our duty to first protect our children and then only expose them to whatever feels safe to us. Okay? Purva is saying, ma'am, your energy is just wow. Thank you, Purva. That's so sweet of you to notice. Flourish with freedom. Ma'am, what a new mom can do to come out of postpartum depression. If it is postpartum, then eventually your hormones will settle. But sometimes some of us women go through hell and back. So if you can speak to your doctor and get yourself onto some sort of a medication, it really helps us manage all of the fluctuation of all of the hormones. Recently, I was studying a study which said that it takes almost 2 years for a woman to get back all of her hormones in balance, which means we are going to go through 2 years of stuff that we are not used to experiencing and feeling, you know. Sometimes we are having jealousy pangs, sometimes we're feeling envious, sometimes we're feeling our whole life is collapsing, sometimes we're having identity crisis. I think learning to manage those is a very smart thing to do, either through getting a coach, that's something you can do, or going to your doctor, that's another thing that you can do, or asking for help. Remember that when you are a new mom, you need a lot of help. You know, you haven't slept sometimes in days and all you need is 6 hours of a continuous sleep. So who can you ask help from? Make sure you have a list of that, because recently I was telling someone that I found raising my children so easy because I lived in a joint family. I had chachis, I had a mother-in-law, I had staff, I had so much help that I was writing my gratitude and I was like, you know what, I mustn't forget to give gratitude for God to really send me an army of, yes, he made me a mother at a very young age. I was barely 20 when I had my baby. But he also sent me an army of people to help me be that mother that I wanted to be. So all the very best, sweetheart. And getting medication or getting help from a coach is a fabulous idea that I'd love for you to consider. Okay? Millie's asking, Pooja, when are you coming to Dubai again? In my vision board, I'm sticking your pictures that we are meeting in 2025. Dubai is not far and I'm extremely loyal to Emirates. So I have a feeling that we are going to meet very soon, Millie. So God bless you, Jan. When is the next life coaching training session, ma'am? If you're asking about the masterclass, my suggestion is when I finish today's session, just call up Gunjan. Her number will be in my comments below this video so that you can get yourself to know when the next masterclass is. If you're asking me when the next coaching mastery is, it is on the 15th and 16th of February. It's 2 full days. Keep yourself free. Come for it. You will learn magic. Gunjan Bajaj and Ramya Reddy are asking how to take action in every situation or how to become an action taker. One of the things I learned from my teacher Mel Robbins was this beautiful rule called the 5-second rule, which is just count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 backwards and get into action. So anytime you feel like you're hesitating or you are delaying, hesitation and delay are the biggest diseases of the world right now. So therefore just jump into action by going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and action. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and action. Start to do this at least 2 to 3 times a day and you'll see yourself doing a lot more action than being lazy. It's called the 5-second rule. Plentitude_life_11 is saying, Pooja, who is your spiritual guru or guide? Interesting question. So I love exploring spirituality. Rather, I'm off to Mexico from tomorrow for one of my spiritual courses that I'm super excited about. This year was a very interesting journey because I went to a monastery in Nepal and stayed there under Rinpoche, who is one of the happiest, one or maybe in the top 10 happiest people on this planet. Learning under him was fabulous. We also did the whole tour of the Himalayas, including seeing the Mount Everest, and it was just breathtaking. So I don't know if I have a spiritual guru. I think I'm a seeker who is having a spiritual experience. So I'm a lot about continuously learning and studying about spirituality. And I believe that your spiritual journey is directly connected to your goodness of your heart. The lesser you judge people, the more honest you are, the more you can love humanity as a whole. To me, that is a lot more spiritual than just sitting in sadhana. Sitting in sadhana is not my style of spirituality. More my style of spirituality, even though I do meditate every day, I do write my gratitude every day, I have a lot of rituals and routines. If I show you my phone, half of my phone is filled with all the apps, which are all meditation apps, from Breathly to Calm to Insight Timer to Growth Day. I'm like, my phone is filled with all of that. Yet I'm a big believer that for me, spirituality is actually growing the goodness, the kindness in this world. And if you are a good person and you are a kind person, you are Bhagwan ka banda. Shivani, how to manifest someone specific in your life like a celebrity? Shivani, I have absolutely no idea. I think anytime you make manifestation too specific, you actually land up getting attached to it and then actually it goes away from you. So I don't know in what context are you trying to manifest a celebrity? But my suggestion would be that if all you're trying to do is meet a particular celebrity, then find out where all they are going and what they're doing, and then you can at some point get an opportunity. When you follow them, then at some point they give you that opportunity that they're doing some show somewhere, and then you can go there and meet them. So you manifest the opportunity to meet them, okay? You do not manifest the celebrity itself in your life. So my suggestion is, start to look at how can I manifest to meet this person. Yeah? All right, it's 4:46. I need to run because I need to pack. However, okay, thank you. I'd love to finish getting the picture. How many of you know what you need to do? All you need to do is take a picture, put what was your biggest takeaway, and make sure you put it in the stories above. Now I'm going to start to, like a few years ago, I'm going to start to announce winners every week of the people who post the story, so that you can win either my book, Unlocking the Golden Cage, I will start to send out, or I will start to send out the book of the week. I'm going to decide what I want to do, but let's at least get that started. So come on everyone, quickly take a picture, put in your story and let me know. Ooh, this one is more scary than nice. Lovely, superb. All right, all you need to do is put your biggest takeaway and make sure you tag me, okay? I can still see so many of you asking so many of your doubts and questions. Just send it to me on private DM and I'll try my best to answer your questions. Okay? If there's anything that I haven't been able to answer, my apologies. It's only that just so many of you and very difficult for me to finish everybody. Okay, let me try to take one or two more questions before I close. For those of you who are continuously asking, how can I become a coach? How can I become a coach? All you need to do is, after I post this video, look at the phone number of Gunjan and make sure you give her a call and she will guide you through the path on how you can study under me or become a coach under me or anything else that you need from us. Okay? Priya Sarath, Happy Angel is asking, can you please give me some tips on manifesting abundance? Thank you. Absolutely, I can, Priya. So the way you manifest abundance is by asking yourself, how can I add value in this world? Because for money exchange to happen, you have to give something to receive it. What in the world are you willing to give? If it's your family members you want money from, you'll have to give a lot more love, respect, nurturing. If it is a boss you want more money from, a promotion or a job, there's going to be a lot of more of your career choices that you will have to expand and make your competency and skill set better. If you want to receive abundance through manifestation, not by earning or creating it, but more through coincidence, then you will need to start to believe in the magic of coincidence and start to have an abundance mindset. An abundance mindset continuously says to itself that I am deserving of more money. Money flows at me easily and effortlessly. Visualizing and affirming money is one of the most beautiful ways to manifest money. My suggestion is work on your competency, work on your love, and work on your ability to manifest by not having a scarcity mindset. How do you not have a scarcity mindset? Whenever you see something expensive, you never say it's expensive. You always say anything I put my mind to, I can attract. And then you keep on saying that till you are actually able to attract it. Then begin with something else. Then begin with something else. The beauty of our mind is that when we want something badly enough, the money will come from somewhere. Sometimes you will be surprised and shocked from where the money came. Maybe if today you had to buy the same thing, you won't be able to, but at that time you were so keen and so sure that you wanted it that money came from somewhere. Another beautiful activity to do is called Arigato in, Arigato out. So if you've watched the video of Ken Fonda, he speaks about having a lot of gratitude. Anytime you receive money, show gratitude. Anytime you give money, always say from where this came, more is coming. That way you won't have a scarcity mindset. Another thing one of my teachers taught me was always keep 11,000 rupees in your wallet. So he used to say anytime you open your wallet, it should never be khali. You should always carry money. Now today's children don't believe in all of this. So this is a little bit of an old school thought of carrying paper money. My children are so digital now that they laugh at me when I say things like that. But in my purse, there will always be money because every time I open it, I want to feel rich. So the feeling is even greater than the reality. So see and do whatever you can to ensure that your environment, your clothes, your purse, your everything makes you feel rich. You should not feel poor. What you feel will eventually get matched to the energy of the universe. So the easiest way to manifest money is to always surround yourself with visual representations of money, which is why you'll see a lot of people having all of these different ways of showing money. Like, you can keep, on my computer have these beautiful 3 gold coins stuck. They're not real, but it's just a reminder that more and more money is coming to me. So like that, you come up with your own sweet little rituals that make you feel like abundance loves you and is flowing at you and it loves coming and hanging out with you. And the more you start to say affirmations like this, the more money will come to you. Okay? Gunjan's number will be put under this video when I close in the next 3 minutes. Paramatma 9594 is saying, really great your knowledge and the way you are answering one-on-one. That's so sweet of you. Thank you for noticing. Listening to you is like therapy for me. So cute. Anita, thank you so much because it's become a natural habit for me to do arigato money. How lovely. Anita, God bless you, sweetheart. May you have a great 2025. Image Design Mansi saying, it's so always uplifting to listen to you, grateful to you. Thank you, Miri Jaan. It's Kuti and me saying, I'm a second-time new mom. I love to help new moms in postpartum in their mental health as a coach. But I myself sometimes struggle with moments, but I have a passion to help fellow new moms. Is it okay? Absolutely, 100%. Do you know that I actually got into coaching because of this situation? I was the first one in Puneet's group to have the baby, or the second one. First one had it a year before me. And then right after me, both my best friends had their boys. And both of them were depending on me for all of the information that they needed on postpartum. And that's when I actually realized that what I absolutely love doing is putting people back into their peace. So my way of discovering my coaching journey was actually through postpartum. Thank you, everybody. Love all of the sweet compliments that keep coming my way. Thanks to all your beautiful words. Really touches my heart week after week. Sometimes I also wonder how I keep showing up and keep doing this, but I guess it's your love that brings me back week after week. Reena's asking, how do you decide about taking up different coaching, self-development courses as a part of your learning? How much knowledge is good enough? Any amount of knowledge is good enough, but there is no end to knowledge. So therefore, I continuously keep studying, because the day I stop studying is the day I should die. Like, that should be my last day of my life, because there is more knowledge in the world than we can accumulate or absorb, right? Yet, having said that, slowly and surely, one of the things I've noticed is, earlier I used to read a book cover to cover. Earlier, when I used to attend the course, I used to make 100 pages notes. Now I've seen that I don't read books cover to cover. 80% of the time I know what they are saying. I just find and look for the points and the nuances that I need. And now when I go for courses, also the same thing has happened. I don't have 100 pages notes. Rather, I'll just write down 3 things from the entire 5 days journey. And those 3 things will make a difference for me. So it's no longer the amount of information and knowledge that I'm paying for, but it's like a 90% student, when they go for tuitions, they know everything that the tuition teacher is teaching the ones who just need to pass. They are there to learn the extra formula or that extra tip which can make them faster and finish the paper in time. So I feel like over time, the caliber of the student level that you are will keep improving, but I don't think knowledge ever ends. Oh, thank you. Yes. Yesterday I did some, what do you call that? Olaplex type, some treatment. I don't know what treatment it was. Some treatment to my hair. So if it's shining today, it's only because I went and colored my grays as well as did treatment. I go to the salon very less, hardly rather. So when I do get to go, I love to do whatever I can, because my hair can get very, very rough. So thank you for noticing. All right, we're at 4:56. So I'm going to close. Thank you so much for coming. Loads of love. And next time I tune in, I guess it'll be somewhere from the Americas. Take care. Bye. Loads of love.